Well, hello and welcome to another Faith, Philosophy and Life with me, Mr. Shelton. It's great to see you and I hope that you are doing well. I've got some big questions behind me. We're tying back to the Apostles' Creed, and last lesson we thought about the crucifixion of Jesus. Now I want you to think about these questions. Who was crucified with Jesus? What crowd did the reaction have? What reaction did the crowd have, in fact? What did Jesus say when he was on the cross? What physically happened to Jesus, both before and during his death? And think back to the temptations in the desert that you might know of. If you had an army of angels that could rescue you if you were in danger, would you do it? I want you to think about those questions for a moment. And when you've thought about them, unpause me, because here's our cheesy intro music. So, in our Apostles' Creed, we are focusing on this particular section. On the third day, he rose again. Today, we're going to be thinking about Resurrection Day. I know we're probably not around Easter when you're watching this. There's probably another festival we're looking forward to with a red man in a cape. No, that sounds a little bit like Superman. But anyway, so we're thinking about resurrection. So, our title today is, How Does Resurrection Give Hope for the Afterlife? Okay, that's our big question for the day, so get that written down. As always, pause me as we go. We're going to explore what happened at Jesus' resurrection and the impact this has for Christians today. And our literary objective is to transform and reduce information into smaller chunks. It's going to be a good outcome if you can describe what happened after the death of Jesus. Great if you can explain what the resurrection of Jesus shows about an afterlife. And even better if we can explain the resurrection of Jesus, why it's important to Christians, and consider and evaluate how this might impact people today. During today's session, we've done our big questions. We've got a media clip coming up. We've got a newspaper article to look at, and we're going to do some bullet points and then a little word search to conclude as well. Everything you need will be in the description below, so please make sure you access that. So last time we thought about Lucy. We thought about the death of Aslan. It was all very, very sad. We're going to return now to The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. If the clip doesn't play, then there is a link in the description below, and just follow that link and you'll find the clip in there. So, as we watch this, I want you to think about these three questions. What happened? How would it have felt to be Lucy? And afterwards, what questions would you want to ask Aslan? Remembering that Aslan is a parallel allegory, symbolism for Jesus. So, let's watch this and then come back to me.
Aslan, what have they done?
But we saw the knife. The witch!
If the witch knew the true meaning of sacrifice, she might have interpreted the deep magic differently. That when a willing victim who has committed no treachery is killed in a traitor's stead, the stone table will crack, and even death itself would turn backwards.
We sent the news that you were dead. Peter and Edmund will have gone to war.
We have to help them.
We will, dear one, but not alone. Climb on my back. We have far to go, and little time to get there. And you may want to cover your ears.
Okay, so maybe you've got this idea of hope, you've got this idea of relief, of joy, of confusion. All of those were things that the disciples would have felt on the day that Jesus came back from the dead. So let's look at this article here. I know this might be a little bit small to read on your screen, so I'm going to read it through with you. It's from the Birmingham Times, and it's Joe Smith back from the dead. The article says this. It's written by a woman called Janet Grant. Last week, Joe Smith, 35, from Solihull, died of a heart attack at home. Family called the hospital, who listened to his heart and checked his vitals and pronounced his death, telling his family there was nothing more that could be done. As with all deaths in the city hospital, Joe was taken to the morgue, where his body was placed in cold storage. At 3 a.m. the following morning, a doctor on duty heard a tapping in the middle, in the inside of a steel door where Mr. Smith's body was, and was shocked when he opened it to find a cold but very much alive Mr. Smith. So, question for you. What questions would you ask the doctors, and what questions would you ask Joe Smith? Do you believe it actually happened or not? Quick conversation with you, with other people, should I say. Send them a WhatsApp, Messenger, whatever. Share some ideas about this and then come back to me. Okay, so you probably have started to question whether you think the doctor was competent to have diagnosed the death at the start of it. You might want to ask Joe Smith what it was like to be dead. Maybe you didn't actually even believe Joe Smith had died. Well, if I tell you this, it will change your life. I made that one up. But they're the same questions that you've asked that would be asked about Jesus. And so we need to have some really clear understanding about this as we move forward. So what we're going to do now is look at some biblical accounts. And you need this table, this grid. Again, it's in the description below. And you'll need the biblical accounts as well. And this is going to take you 20 minutes or so. What I'd like you to do is to go through and write the obvious. Write what you see, not what you think you know. So when you read Matthew's account, write down the names of the people involved. Write down who saw Jesus. If no one saw Jesus, write no one. It's as simple as that. Was there a supernatural event? Was there something weird that happened? And what were people's reactions? So let's pause me, get that done, and then come back to me. Okay, now, as you've probably noticed, there was another worksheet in there. What I'd like you to do is to have a read over that and just bullet point down some of the key ideas as you go through that as well, and then come back to me. So a good outcome would be that you described what happened after the death of Jesus. Great if you can explain what resurrection shows about Jesus and the afterlife. And that idea about everyone can get to heaven because Jesus died and came back to life. That's your key idea with that one. And even better if you can explain why the resurrection of Jesus is important to Christians. Well, it gives them hope and things like that. You'll have also seen in the description below a word search. What I'd like you to do is to access that, see if you can find those words, and see if you can tie them into last lesson and this lesson. So maybe do a few sentences underneath for the words that you find to explain how they fit into the topics that we've looked at. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks very much for your time. Take care of yourself, stay safe, wash hands, God bless you, and I'll be seeing you soon.